Hi, my name's Rob from robandphoto.com, and in this little video we're going to have a look at doing something that you don't really need to do, but you might find it quite useful, and that is expanding the battery life on your HTC One MAX Android smartphone. I say you don't really need to do it because the huge, I think it's 3,300 milliamp hour battery on the HTC One MAX lasts absolutely ages. I think one of the reasons why I love this phone so much is the fact the battery lasts so long, even though it's got this massively bright screen, high definition screen, even though it's got these superbly loud speakers, even though it seems to be blindingly fast in games and apps. The battery just goes on and on and on. It'll easily do a whole day on a full charge, doing all sorts of stuff. However, you may well be in a situation where, you know, 1 day or 2 days isn't that much, and you want to really extend it for a long time. Now, the first thing I'd say is what HTC do, which I haven't got here, excuse me, is they do a smart cover that actually has a built-in battery that extends its capacity even further. So you could always get one of these, but what we're going to concentrate on in this video is just the practical things you can do with the phone to make that battery last longer. Now, the first thing I would say is, one thing that chews up battery power is processor. It's the little computer inside that does all the thinking, and so what you really need to do is, as far as apps goes, only install the ones you're going to use. By all means, download them, try them, but when you finish with them, get rid of them, because otherwise they'll be in the background every now, turning themselves on, sending you notifications, calling back to their publisher just to tell them what's going on, and that will be chewing up not only your data allowance if you're not on Wi-Fi, but also the processor will be chewing up battery life. So uninstall apps you're not going to use. That's really, really important. I would say, even, I mean, what the thing I used to do with my Samsung Galaxy Nexus and my HTC Desire was every 6 months I would just give the phone a hard reset and then just reinstall the things I want. The next thing you want to do is go into your settings, and you just want to make sure, if we go down to the display, make sure your screen timeout is on auto, so that the screen turns itself off pretty quickly, because the screen is probably the biggest drainer of power on your phone. And the other thing you can do as well is, if you go into personalize, make sure, if you really want to extend life, choose a simple, very, very simple wallpaper. So I know I've got weather on mine at the moment, but if you just choose something that isn't animated, like, I don't know, what have we got here that's really basic? How about, I quite like dark ones. Say we had that particular background there. There's no animation to that background at all. There's a little bit of brightness to it, but the processor isn't going to be wasting any cycles trying to animate the background. So that's going to help us very much that way. However, the biggest change you can make to the length of the battery life of your HTC One MAX is with these widgets here. This kind of power bar that you can see here across, and then this mobile button here. And what these enable you to do is control which bits of the phone are turning on and off to use the power. So let's start off with the power widget here. Now, to get the power widget onto your phone, all you need to do is, see if I remember how to do this. There we go. Do the squiggly spike, go to widgets, and then find the power one. See if I can find it here. There's a few different types, but there it is, power control. So I've added that on. Let's put it in the middle. So he says, trying to move it. Can I move it? Can I? There we go. So let's put it there so you can see what we're doing. So what we've got on the left here, we've got Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi, again, it's a radio antenna. It uses quite a lot of battery power. So when you don't need to, be on the internet, when you don't want your apps to be doing their thing, disconnect the Wi-Fi. When it's just acting like a phone where you're taking messages over SMS or making phone calls, turn the Wi-Fi off. The next one, Bluetooth. Again, make sure your Bluetooth is off. If you're not paired to a headset, why do you want Bluetooth on anyway? It just means that people are going to come along and try and find your phone and download viruses to it. So what this widget is doing, it's making sure that it's definitely turned off. In the middle, GPS. Now, things like Google Maps and lots of other apps, they don't turn the GPS signal on completely until they want it. However, lots of apps, when they're doing their thing and waking up every now and again and calling home, will check the GPS signal to see if there's anything there and turn it on, and so they know where they are. But by turning this little widget off, you're saying don't turn the GPS antenna on till I say so. Then this little squiggly one here, that's sync. And so what we can do is we can turn that off, and we can say to the apps, don't sync, because again, when they're syncing, when they're talking to the servers at home, or maybe it's Gmail talking to the Gmail servers, they're using the processor, which is going to be draining your battery, and they're going to be using obviously the signal for the Wi-Fi or the data to use the signal as well. And then finally, on the right hand side, we've got the screen brightness. Now if we're outside and it's nice and bright, whack it up at all. If we're inside and it's very, very dim and you can see what you're doing, so there's no lights on, get on its dimmest setting. Now obviously you do have an auto brightness control that does go on and off on the HTC One MAX. It works very well. So I tend to say leave it on auto. But if you're in this extreme situation where you need to maximise that battery life, make sure you turn the screen down to its dimmest setting. So there we go. So we've got Wi-Fi, we've got Bluetooth, we've got GPS, we've got syncing, and we've got screen brightness that we can control. And the final piece in the puzzle is the mobile data button there. Let's let's add a widget. It just happens to be next to it, which is there. So let's put it on. Ooh. Let's move it to there. So what this does, little button does, it just turns off mobile data. We can still use our phone as a phone, and we can still do SMS messages, but we can't send or receive data. Apps can't send or receive data without you specifically pressing that button. So not only does it help you in terms of battery life, but it helps you in terms of your data limit. So there we go. They're the main ways that you can massively increase the length of the battery just by turning off the things you're not using. When you want to use the internet in your Wi-Fi zone, flick on Wi-Fi. If you want apps to update themselves, flick on that one. When if you're out and about, turn the Wi-Fi off, flick the mobile data on. When you want to access the internet, flick it off when you go the other way. Now obviously the extreme thing as well is if you're just using say you're on a plane, or you're in a situation where you definitely don't want to use the phone as a phone because you just want to use the games and things like that. Go into do the settings and go into airplane mode, so that turns off that aerial as well. But in most situations where I am, I always at least want to receive SMS messages, and I find that this power bar here, you'll probably get, I don't know, I reckon you could probably get 3-4 days use out of the phone. I haven't tested it completely doing it that long because I don't really have to. The battery is so huge on this phone that it just seems to go on and on and on. But if you're in a situation where you need extreme battery life, add the power control bar widget, add the mobile data widget, and be really proactive in turning things on and off only when you need to use them. So before we go, let me just turn back on my data, my Wi-Fi connection, and there we go. So I hope that helps you if you are in the rather unusual situation where you need to extend the battery life on the HTC One MAX, because it is fantastic anyway. But my name's Rob from roblandphoto.com, and thanks for watching.